with no ifs and buts. There is an empire of evil emanating from Tehran. Hamas is one major element of this jihadist ISIS-type culture. Time goes on, but the truth is that we are fighting a war for the entire universe, for the free world. If Israel was not there, Europe will be next, and the United States is next too. We go in according to our right of self-defense, and in every house you find terror equipment. You pull up in a bedroom, you pull up the bed, you find a missile.
I've known you also as a man of peace. You always been someone that has said that we need peace in the Middle East, and the war is still ongoing in Gaza. How do you see an end of this war? And also that's probably related to the situation for the hostages. There are 100 hostages probably left?
No, yeah, we have 136 hostages who are there, including 4 from the 2014 war. So you have from 1-year-old to 85-year-old. People of peace, many of them were advocates of peace. Oded Lifshitz was a major advocate of peace. He would work in Gaza. These communities were burned and ruined and brought to ashes were communities that advocated endlessly working for peace with the Palestinians. So if we look at on a bird's eye view of the war that we are seeing, it's not only between Israel and Hamas. I will deal with Israel and Hamas. But the issue is, and the world has to face it point blank, with no ifs and buts, there is an empire of evil emanating from Tehran, spending billions of dollars in arms and money and people's well-being to derail the entire stability of the world and the region. They've attacked the United States forces 2 nights ago. They have proxies all over the region, quietly lurking to undermine any peace process and any stability of the world. And that is exactly what we are seeing, and they have to be faced by a very strong coalition. Hamas is one major element of this jihadist ISIS-type culture who has decided to launch a war against the well-being of the only nation-state of the Jewish people, butchering and murdering Jews and Muslims alike in the most barbaric way, and we have to uproot them and enable a better future for the Palestinians who are our neighbors. We don't shy away from the fact that the Palestinians are our neighbors. But if you ask an average Israeli now about his mental or her mental state, nobody in his right mind is willing now to think about what will be the solution of the peace agreements, because everybody wants to know, can we be promised real safety in the future? Every Israeli wants to know that he will not be attacked in the same way from north or south or east. You have Hezbollah in the north, armed up to its neck by Iran, financed by Iran, and simply firing ongoing and killing civilians and killing soldiers and going to war with Israel. And then the world tends to forget, and time goes on, but the truth is that we are fighting a war for the entire universe, for the free world. I always say, if Israel was not there, Europe will be next, because these barbaric jihadists want to get all of us out of the region and want to get all of Europe out of its place as well. And the United States is next too. So this war is something of an essential element in the history of humankind.
Mr. President, the war in Gaza has now gone on for 100 days. And I think Israel is not immune either to the international criticism on the humanitarian situation in Gaza. So there are 2 million people know living under very, very tough conditions. And many of them didn't support Hamas. So what is your message to those that are also now suffering because they didn't even support Hamas?
So I have a message to all our neighbors, first of all, and especially to the Palestinians. I've been advocating and calling for peace with our neighbors for years. I said it in my speech in a joint session of Congress on the 19th of July, just before the war. Terror is the main impediment to moving towards peace. You cannot accept terror directly or indirectly. You cannot justify it. It has to be totally stopped and out of the question. And the problem is that there are societies, there are people, when they support Hamas, they support terror, simple barbaric terror against LGBTQ or against any other human being or against anyone who is Jewish, Israeli, or the like. This has to be a clear message to the world. Terror is unacceptable. Now we therefore went to war because we see a war machine of a humongous structure right in Gaza. Huge cities of terror underneath. Tunnels that are higher than the size of the New York subway system. That means billions of dollars that had they gone to life above ground, we would have the most beautiful region in the world and move to peace. But instead they opted to go to terror. It was taken over by Hamas in a coup d'etat in 2007 after we pulled out of Gaza unilaterally to the last iota. And from then on it became a platform of terror for Iran and all its proxies. And from then on we had thousands of missiles on our head. And from then on we reached this barbaric moment on this October 7th. And now we go in according to our right of self-defense, and in every house you find terror equipment. You pull up in a bedroom, you pull up the bed, you find a missile. A missile, hundreds of kilometers they can shoot. Everywhere you go, they can press a button and you have missiles on Israel like we had this week. We pulled out from the center, we had missiles. So we have to understand, if we have the right to defend ourselves, it's an inherent right to go, catch the terrorists, clean up the houses, and bring back their citizens. That is what we are trying to do. I'm not shying away from the human tragedy in Gaza. And you want to know something? We care. We care. It is pain for us that our neighbors are suffering so much. But how else can we defend ourselves if our enemies decided to entrench themselves in an infrastructure of terror of unbelievable size and scope? It's a very complicated battle. Everywhere we go, in shops, in living rooms, in bedrooms, in schools. In schools you see, we had even ISIS flags in schools and symbols. I presented to the world Hitler's book, Mein Kampf, in living rooms. And a recent brochure that we found is directive by Hamas, how to run summer camps for children, titled, you have to instill in them the values of jihadism and resistance, which means terror. So let's agree, if the world wants to keep the world order of post-World War II in a decent manner, it has to fight terror and support fighting terror. And look at the Houthis, because here in the World Economic Forum, the Houthi issue is #1 priority because it raises the cost of living for every family in the universe. A little tribe of 50,000 people amassed with weapons of an empire. I don't think Norway has such weapons. Ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, drones. What the hell is going on here? What is this? We are unraveling a huge system of evil that the world has to unite and say, we know it's difficult, but we are with Israel to get the things done. And I welcome very much the fact that there is an international armada and coalition fighting the Houthis, because it's an issue that makes clear that terror cannot be acceptable anymore.